How
Oh,
different
come
was
on,
this
you're used to it.
experience than the combine?
Um, it wasn't. I mean, it was less nerve-wracking. I felt like the combine. I was definitely a little bit more nervous for it, but and I did a lot more at the combine. So, here it was just trying to fine-tune, showing that I can, get to the deep middle. Get off the hashes, get to the fade balls in each corner, and just pretty much try to just put the cherry on the top.
Are you still doing some linebacker work here?
Not as much. The linebacker thing was more so a need for the university. But I'm just a DB who can play in the box.
What do you tell teams now that question how you could do it safety?
What? I'm sorry. Can you?
Oh, what do you tell teams now that maybe question what you could do as a defensive back since you played linebacker and were so many?
Those are all fair questions because I don't have much tape at safety. But at the end of the day, some reasonings for me not being able to play safety, are mind blowing. I feel as though, if I'm a punt returner, I can track the ball. It's just going up and getting it at the highest point instead of letting it, fall into the breadbasket. The one interception thing, that's a fair question. I could have had maybe 4 at most. One was due to bad positioning, didn't get my head around fast. One I dropped against Northwestern and JD caught one. The next play, it took it to the house. And then the one I could have had one in Utah, my first game back from injury against the tight end. Didn't get my head around, and it was a pass interference call. So it was just about just relaxing, don't panic when the ball's in the air, and just trust your technique, and technique is something I'm definitely honing in on now. And but those are all fair questions, man. At the end of the day, I'm an athlete and I'm a ball player. Once I only need to see something one time, to be able to do it, and the rest is just trusting your technique and honing in on your skill. I'm excited. I get to, work on my technique now, and not bounce around a lot from Indy to Indy, and really just learn the position and be a technician of the position. So those are all fair questions and criticism. But at the end of the day, some of the questioning, is mind blowing to me. But the not having this much tape and the one interception thing, those are all fair. Things that they can criticize, and I take those on the chin.
You want to follow up on that? Did you panic sometimes when the ball was in the air?
My first year back, yeah, definitely. And then last year I had to play more in the box. So, but my first year back, yep, I wanted to, my knee was clicking a little bit. I didn't feel as fast as I, normally did, and it was just, you miss a year of football, you don't really know what that does to you until you go back out there, So at the end of the day, man, I'm at a point where I'm getting better. I'm finally, starting to perfect the craft. And, some coaches see me, as a safety, and they love me. Some don't, and to each his own. I'm just a guy who's gonna go out there and I'm a ball. All I need is an opportunity. Whenever the opportunity comes, it comes. But I'm not gonna push my opportunity away.
What makes you special at the next level? I mean, because in the NFL, you're probably not going to play as many positions as you were able to here. So what makes you special at the next level in your opinion?
I just think my why, my love for the game. Everyone says they love the game, but everyone doesn't really love the game. My coachability and how smart I am both on and off the field. I only need to see things a couple times to have it down packed and to apply it to my game. And I think that's gonna, carry a long way. Because at the next level, everyone's fast, everyone's strong, everyone's big. Can get the edge in the film room, can get the edge on, just studying route concepts, combinations, down the distances, and things like that. So that's where I see myself really being a great tool for being out there, just to be a little field general. I played offense too, so I'm very offensive savvy as well. And I think that definitely helps me on the defensive side of the ball.
Jabrill, as this gets closer to the end date, which is the draft, how exciting does it start to feel? Can you let yourself get caught up in that, or do you still?
I'm just at a place where I don't want to, psych myself out or build up too much anxiety. In my eyes, I definitely, I left it out there, all on the field. I think if they see the tape, they'll see that. I don't have a lot of tape at safety, but as scouts, I feel as though you should, see tendencies and traits certain guys have. I feel as though I have all the intangibles, everything I don't have, I can be coached up on. So that's just where my mind is at. I don't feed into any of the negativity or the positivity. I just stay 10 toes down, and just let the cards fall where they may.
What is the one thing you think that you still need to get better at as a safety?
I pretty much think everything. This is, you're never done improving. That's just my mindset. But if it's, are you meaning essentials? Some essentials that I think I need to definitely improve on is, being a little bit more fluid. That comes with repetition. I can get off the hash. I can play the deep middle. I can fill the lane. It's just about improving on all those things. But I definitely think fluidity. Being in the box a year, not opening up as much, running as much with receivers. That definitely, played a huge role. But Matt Clark out there, San Diego and LA, he did a great job with me getting me right. Getting my hips back, to where they needed to be. Now it's just honing in on it and taking it to the next level.
Well, who did you meet with? Who have you met with today? Who did you meet with last night? What business you guys set up?
Man, so many I can't even name. But the teams that I met with today, what do you call a meeting? Like sit down with coaches, or they have you take a test or anything?
Like who did you actually sit down and have conversations with?
Well, today it was the Buccaneers. Yesterday it was the Saints and the Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Do you have any visits set up already?
Yes, I cannot tell you those off the top of my head, but I have at least 23 at minimum. I can't tell you off the top of my head though.
Jabrill, what do you hear? What do you think when you hear people say he might slip out of the first round because teams don't know what to do with him? That kind of
Like
reasoning. What does that mean to you?
Like I said, man, I don't really pay attention to the positivity or the negativity. I feel as though, whatever team gets me is going to be a steal. I don't really care about, whether they draft experts or things like that, what they have to say. My only concern is what these GMs and head coaches think about me. And I just need the opportunity. That's it. It is what it is. I didn't play safety, but I'm going to be the safety. So whatever ramifications stem from that, it is what it is, man. I'm just out there I'm gonna prove myself.
Have you had any team tell you like, Jabrill, we don't know what to do with you?
No,
Like,
has
that come up?
I actually haven't
Oh.
had any team tell me that. I've only had one team tell me they want me to play linebacker. I had one team tell me that they think I should play offense, but other than that, the majority has been you're a safety. We just want to see if you can do this, and this because you don't have that much fun doing it. But we know you can track the ball because you were a punt returner. It's just about going up and high pointing and catching it. Reading the